So the first question says, thank you for your existence. Greetings, divinity. First off, I love this. Greetings, divinity. So whoever this is most definitely recognizing the divine spirit in me. And I give thanks. I truly, truly give thanks for you for that. It says, thank you for your existence and all that you are doing to aid in healing the planet. All praises. I appreciate you for that. My question is how to rapidly heal anus fissures. Anus fissures. And what anus fissures is basically it's small tears inside of the colon wall, close to the sigmoid colon and right along the anus. And I'm gonna show y'all that in a minute. It says it's been 5 months and I've been in bed with this painful experience. Pus. Notice we're talking about pus. So if he's having pus, we already know that he's eating meat. If he got pus build up, or unless he mistaken pus for mucus. But if you got pus, the only way you get pus is from dead corpuscles, and that's dead deteriorating proteins. That's the only way the body is building up pus. So we already know that you're a meat eater. Bleeding and clots, fragmented stools, bowel movements are all likened to birthing a small embryos every time. So he got painful poop when he's pushing his feces through that sigmoid colon and out the anus, because he have all types of different, rips and tears in the anus. All right. It says, to give you just a brief medical workup, I was diagnosed with HIV. In 1980, all of these diseases was the same disease. In 1981, they broke it up into 6 diseases, but all of them are the same thing. What causes AIDS is the treatment of HIV. Again, everybody get a small retrovirus every now and then called HIV. It's the body's overloading of exosomes and lysosomes due to the cells breaking down, which your cells do every day, all day. What happens is they give you mustard gas, or what you call chemotherapy, which is the same thing they give you for cancer, but this time they just changed the name of chemotherapy and call it ATZ, AZT, Xantex, and all these other different names, and then they call it anti-retro drugs. And then you getting chemotherapies in pill form and thinking it is actually boosting your immunological system when there is no such thing as the immunological system. You only have a lymphatic system, and if there was a such thing as the immunological system, it would exist inside of the lymphatic system, because last time I checked, a T cell, a B cell, a lymphocyte, a phagocyte, a basophil, a neutrophil, a mesophil, all these other macrophage, all these different sites that's supposed to make up the immune system, you only find them in the lymphatic system. You see that? You only find them in the lymphatic system. And what these drugs that they give you for the HIV is chemotherapy. It is mustard gas. This is acid that burns less than 1.5 on a potential hydrogen scale. You're literally burning all the lymphocytes, all the phagocytes, all the neutrophils, all the monophils, all the basophils, all of these different T cells and B cells, immunoglobulin out of the body. Then what happens is the mucosa membrane / lymphatic system completely is invaded and destroyed. So you catch a common cold, and these lymphocytes and phagocytes can't fight anymore, and you die from that common cold. So what caused the AIDS? Was it the actual HIV, this small little bitty retrovirus that everybody get every now and then? No, it wasn't. It was actually the treatment of HIV with the chemotherapy drugs that they give you that's supposed to boost the so-called immunological system. Man, it's all crap, man, when you really listen. Like, when you listen to this stuff, man, it will blow your mind. It will blow your mind, all right? So it says the HIV meds, as I was in disbelief about the diagnosis, I wanted to test the trust. I know I was poisoned by the doctors. Of course, brother, look, I'm telling you right now, they poisoned you. Whoever this was, yes, that's what they do. That's what they do. Look, instead of just bringing up your lymphatic system, opening up your lymphatic system, opening up your kidneys for lymphatic filtration, bringing your adrenal glands back online, going after the thymus gland, replacing all the good bacteria inside the gut, replacing all the T cells and the B cells from the bone marrow back in the thymus gland, they gave you synthetic mustard gas. then voila, you have AIDS. Now, AIDS, HIV don't exist, but AIDS exists. All diseases leads to AIDS, and that is a compromised, degenerative, chronic lymphatic system. Any so-called disease, any so-called ailment, or any time your body is trying to eliminate and you stop that elimination process, the body will start backing up, and that backing up of acids will kill all of these so-called immunocytes and cells. And once these lymphatic system cells die off, then, I mean, you catch a common cold, it'll kill you. So AIDS do exist, but all so-called diseases lead to AIDS if you go without detoxing. And that's why detoxification is vitally important, y'all. It says, only took the meds in uncertainty of the 26 years since being diagnosed. I can estimate that I have maybe 5 years worth of meds in you. So you got about 5 years worth of chemotherapy in you, which is probably causing the anal tears and the anus rips, the fissures, which is probably causing that. Because think about it, you're taking in mustard gas and you have to poop and pee these things out. If that's sitting at colon too long, it will rip and tear at the sigmoid colon and at the actual colon and at the actual anus, the intel of the colon. So it might be from the chemotherapy, or it can be from just deteriorating acids because, you're not changing your lifestyles and your eating habits. For the Kaposas, I remember having a few, look, here it go. Look, this is how I know I'll be on point. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Check this out. For the Kaposis, because Kaposis is cancer, notice HIV causes Kaposis sarcoma, but they say that Kaposis sarcoma is not HIV, it's cancer. But I just told y'all that cancer, HIV, syphilis, and chlamydia and herpes is all the same disease, so-called disease. And I'm standing on it. I can prove this stuff, y'all. Now check this out. It says, for the Kaposis, I remember having a few chemotherapy treatments, but I ceased them. Ooh-wee, boy. Oh, do y'all see how they are crippling our people? Do y'all see the lies, the witchery, the witchcraft that they putting on our people? It says, I seen the Secret movie. I binged on it. The Secret movie talk about basically how HIV and all this is a hoax, because it is. It says I binged on it. I studied other works, and it compelled me into the rabbit hole after the rabbit hole after the rabbit hole, and it changed my life expeditiously. It may be understood as awakening and furthering in this awakening. I've studied the world's theologies as well as many other topics and exploring all the understandings of the brain, self-healing through meditation, breath work, etc. Acquired wherever I can reach for detoxing heavy metals and poisons and vaccines out of my body with the meds I consumed in my life. I come to the juncture where I am reaching and I'm trying to learn to achieve even the smallest dream manifestation and etc. All was well because the only thing I believe I manifest was absolute health, optimal health. And 5 months ago, this happened. That's what's up, brother. You use mind to control matter because the body doesn't create the mind. The mind created the body to experience its creation. So I like that. I like that ideology that you then took on. It says, I'm in New York City, and there is a lot of challenges to buy and pay for good outside food stamps. Eternally grateful for your time and replies. Let infinite love, light, and joy be loyal companion now and forever. Man, I like that. Rampage of love. All right, peace to you. So the first thing you want to have to deal with, let's deal with the HIV thing first, and then we're going to talk about how to heal the anus. I want to show you that if you get rid of all of them toxins and all of that chemotherapy that you've been putting in your body, you will get rid of the HIV. Because all the HIV, let's just show what it is. Let's show and prove. Check this out.
And they say they're living under Damocles' sword, and it's just a matter of when they get it and when they die. But the truth is they don't have the virus. What they have is a so-called antibody to the virus. And if you remember, the rationale for getting vaccinated is so the body will create antibodies and you will be immune to the disease for which you have the antibodies. Well, here they've done a switch in their rationale, and now having the antibodies means that you're subject to getting the disease. That's some flip-flop, if you will, but they don't think the American people are thinkers. They take them for suckers, and that's the way they've been.
I want to try to clarify a point. I have read in some of your literature, one of your books, that a virus is really not alive, but is a dead substance, and a dead substance Why don't you pursue that?
All right.
Let us know exactly what a virus itself is and whether, in fact, it plays any part in disease.
A virus, so-called, is always dead. There's no such thing as a live virus. Even the so-called live viruses means they were obtained from live tissue instead of dead tissue. But viruses, so-called, are actually genomes. A genome is the genetic material. And if you look at a cell in your body, you have about 100 trillion of them. And each cell has a nucleus. And these nucleuses disintegrate when the cells disintegrate. There are lysosomes which dissolve the cell. And of course, they do not do a thorough job, and the actual nucleus of the cell is well protected. And in degenerating it, it may not completely destroy that nucleus, which is the genome for a cell. That is where the chromosomes, the genetic material, is housed. If it's not destroyed, it just floats in the system, and it's called a cytomegalovirus. But something that most people realize is each cell has from maybe 20, 30 to 40,000 mitochondria in it. Each cell. A cell is a little walled-in city, and it has these residents there as independent forms of life, just like bacteria, an independent form. In fact, they're no larger than a bacterium. So when the cell is destroyed, these mitochondria are also destroyed, and each mitochondrion has a genome. That's a control center. A genome is to a mitochondrion, or organelles, which they're called, what the brain is to the human body. It's a control mechanism. It has the blueprint whereby that mitochondrion creates our energy from glucose. It has the blueprint for making specialized proteins that the cell and even the body needs. These mitochondrions are really the basic unit of life. They have collected together, and they have a protected environment called a cell. And of course, cells have united together, and they have a protected environment called a body. But when the cells die, and we have maybe 300 to 500 billion cells dying every day and being replaced at the same rate as a rule, the dead cells disintegrate. When you figure it out, if there's, say, 500 billion cells a day dying, and each one has 20,000, shall we say, mitochondrion dying, well, you have several quadrillion, maybe a quintillion of genomes that are involved. And if those that survive or don't get completely destroyed, they're dead, yes, but they just float around in the system. Now, there are processes called PINOCYTOSIS, PHAGOCYTOSIS, whereby cells recycle the body's own waste. The body's own waste are very subject to use. It's not an alien material. And all it does is the cell takes it in. It actually invaginates it, becomes a little dent in it, and then it envelops the material, and it forms an impromptu stomach, and lysosomes, again, go in and digest this material and break it down into the proteins, the amino acids, and the fats into simple fatty acids or monoglycerides and glycerols. And then the cell can use it. It reconstitutes it into its own materials. So what they're calling a genome is that material which floats around that came out of mitochondria, but they're calling them viruses. After all, the system is based on drugs, and it needs scapegoats in order to justify the system. They're sending the drugs in to destroy these so-called things. Never mind that the drugs destroy the human being more than they destroy anything else, and dead material don't have to be destroyed, it's already dead.
With this man breaking everything down. But let me show you how this thing works. This is exactly how it works. So this is a cell, and inside the cells, if you actually looking at this real close, you have something called the microvascular exosomes, and that's where you get the MVE at. If you look on the screen, that circle that's all the way to your left is MVE, microvascular exosomes. Notice that these microvascular exosomes have little bitty DNA particles and stuff inside of them. Whenever a cell dies off, what happens is this blue thing that we call lysosomes is supposed to eat up these particles. It's supposed to eat and engulf the cell. And the reason why it eats and engulf the cell is because it chews up the cell and it put this broken down poop from the cells inside of the interstitial fluid of the cell. And then what happens is the lymphatic system pick it up and it take it through the lymph vessels and then it take it to a lymph node. Once it get to a lymph node, it is further breaking down and it is further eaten up, and then it go to the kidneys and it process for filtration and elimination. Well, what happens is when liposome does not do its job, when liposome does not do its job because you've been eating so many acids and the whole system get bombarded with acids, what happens is lysosome fail to eat up all the dead cells. So you still have genomes and genetic material that is still living inside of the body. You got dead cells that's acting retarded, but still is alive. They half dead and half alive because lysosomes didn't kill them all the way and disintegrate them and dropped it off to the lymphatic system. So then these cells that's supposed to be completely dead, that's not, starts excreting something called exosomes. You see that? And then what the exosomes do is they come together with the half dead, half alive particles, damaged cells or damaged DNA, and then they attaches themselves to a protein. Then this protein attaches itself to another cell and inject itself into the cell. And that's where you get this so-called HIV marker from, y'all. But notice what it is. All is a dying cell that wasn't completely ate up. And if you think I'm lying, let's just look up a few definitions. Let's see what lysosome do. Check this out. This is what the lysosome do. Now, I'm going to move this over. It says lysosomes or organelles responsible for breaking down cellular waste. That's what they do. They break down cellular waste. They are filled with digestive enzymes. Lysosomes have a low pH. Look, have a low pH on the inside, showing you this too, that even the lysosome, not only is your DNA acidic, deoxyribonucleic acid, ribonucleic acid, but even the exosomes and the lysosomes that's within inside of the cells that breaks down the cells when the cell dies is already naturally acidic as well. We got to talk about these things. We got to talk about these things. It says they are filled with digestive enzymes. Lysosomes have a low pH on the inside, meaning they are acidic, that allows the digestive enzymes to work. So when your digestive enzymes and when your lysosome is not working right, you start producing too many exosomes. When you produce too many exosomes, it biohacks the cell and it have that debris that wasn't fully digested by the lysosome. It attaches to another cell and invades the cell. And now you have RNA mixing itself with DNA, and they call this a retrovirus. And guess what they're going to call it? HIV. Now, did that come from sex? Did that come from outside of the body, or did that come from too many acids being in the body because you have been living a acidic lifestyle? You tell me. You tell me. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to have to go on an all-fruit diet. If I was you and you was me, I would not take any more of that medication. You're going to most definitely have to go on a diet, y'all. You're going to have to go on a diet. This diet going to have to consist of all fruits because you have to get all of them unwanted exosomes off, and we have to repair the DNA, and then they didn't damage your cells by giving you all this chemotherapy. And when you look at the colon and you're going through this ripped colon, that what you got going on here, this is the colon right here. And I just want to show y'all this real fast. Okay, y'all can see that. The whole purpose of the appendix is to produce all types of good bacteria to keep itself lining the intestinal tract to help you break down your food and to help you, bring your food into the blood capillaries. Then as you move up into the ascending colon. This is the ascending colon. Then you move to the transverse colon. Notice all the icky stuff inside the transverse colon. You got unwanted blood clots, you got leftover food, you got acids, you got fermentation. You see that? Then you go down into the descending colon. Now, this is where his issue is at. When you start getting into the sigmoid colon, which is this little round shape right here, it goes into the rectum down to the anus. He had rips and tears from the sigmoid all the way to the anus. What can rip and tear any tissue in the body? What can destroy any tissue in the body? Do alkaline destroy tissues in the body, or do acids destroy tissues in the body? We have to be dealing with acids. Alkaline-based chemistry heals the body. It soothes the body. It repairs the cells of the body. So we know that he have too many acids moving around in his digestive tract. And if it's moving around in his digestive tract, then it must be inside of his feces. Unless he's eating things that's very hard and his stomach is not breaking them down, like kale, that'll rip you up. If kale is not broken down properly, that'll rip you up. Certain corn, that'll rip you up very good if it's not broken down properly anyways. And that's why corn cannot even be consumed, because it don't break down at all. Real, you know, gnarly proteins that'll rip you up too. But I bet you it's from the medicine and the reoccurring of the medicine, because he said he had Kaposi sarcoma, showing you that it is the medicine that they given him for the HIV that is burning the cells of his body, and it's burning his intestines all the way down to his colon. So if it's the cells that's burning, and if it's the cells that's doing all these things to you, then that means you're going to have to reverse what you got going on, man. And the best way to reverse these things is to alkaline the body. And the best way to alkaline the body is to hydrate the body. Go on an all-fruit diet. That's what you're going to need. You're going to need an all-fruit diet. And then since your colon is ripped, make sure you're eating things that's not going to rip it up more. Eat cooling foods. You see that? Eat cooling foods. Eat apples. Eat watermelons. Things that are very watery in substance. Eat all the melon. The melon family is very, 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 very hydrative. It will hydrate and it will soothe the colon. Don't eat things that's hard. Don't eat things that is hard to break down that's going to further keep ripping up the colon wall. And these are things like your grains, your vegetables, your nuts, your seeds, things like this is hard and it's complex amino acid structures. It's full of proteins. And not only will it rip you because it cannot fully break down, but all the phytic acid, the carbonic acid, and all the different types of uric acid is made and produced from these things as well. So you're getting two burns. You're getting burns from the density of these foods. And that's why whenever you're healing and you detoxing, you're supposed to eat less dense foods. And not only that, you're eating complex amino acid structures that the acid cannot even break down. And these are ripping and tearing you too. So eat soothing things. That's the first thing. Study fruits and what's soothing. You see that? A ripe watermelon is soothing. It's not hard to break down. A melon, all the whole melon family, soothing. It's not hard to break down. A mango, a ripe mango, that's soothing. That is not hard to break down. See, things that is hard to break in, make sure when you're eating, you're super chewing. You see that? Make sure all the digestion is taking place in your mouth and that food becomes a liquid before you swallow it down. That way it will aid and it will soothe the digestive system while we bringing the herbs in to come and heal the day. Now, what you need, since you got all these things going on, though, you're going to need my GEO'GENETIC therapeutic package level 3. And the reason why I'm telling you to get the highest package here is because you are dealing with, not only you're dealing with so-called HIV, which is high exosomes, but the treatment of it is what's really beating you down and causing the skin cancer and just causing everything that's going on with you. And we got to open up the liver and get all that chemotherapy up out of there. And inside of that mustard gas is all types of aluminum and mercury poison too. So we got to cleanse the lymphatic system of the brain to get all that mercury up out of there. I mean, we got to cleanse a lot of different things that's going on with inside of you because of the treatment of the so-called disease that they labeled you with. You see what I'm saying? So I would say the GEO'GENETIC level 3 with an all-fruit diet. If you can do all juice, do all juice. That'll eliminate any solid foods from fruits too. That way you ain't got to deal with the skins of apples. You ain't got to deal with the hard, the hard crust of the apples or none of that stuff. You can literally just juice your foods and you can soothe the digestional tract with hydration and H3O2.